looking for someplace quiet to do a live stream. My car ended up being the best option. Good old Isaac Perez helped me put a lot of cool soundproofing stuff up in my new office. Turns out if you don't have a door, the soundproofing stuff doesn't work, which I wish they had put that on the packaging or something. Genesis 26. There we go. All right. Where did we get to? I think we just did verse 19. We did 18, then we did 19. So let's hit into verse 20. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. So he called the name of that well Essek, because they quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one. So they called its name Sitnah. And he moved from there, and he dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. So, if you're into Hebrew and Bible translations, and if you're really a Christian, you're going to write down in your Bible. Okay, I'm not like trying to heavy on them, but I'm just saying, write stuff down. Do you want to know why I know what I know? It's because I wrote it down. Isn't that amazing? I don't know anything. It's just I write a lot of notes in my Bible. So the word Essek in verse 20 means quarrel. It's literally the Hebrew word for quarrel. So now you know a Hebrew word, right? And then verse 21, Sitnah means enmity. And then Rehoboth means spaciousness. I feel like I want to keep going, but let's just do a little bit. Let's just walk through it today. Maybe I'm not going to drive home one big point. Who knows what the Lord has in store. But I want you to notice that Isaac in this well-digging expedition, it wasn't a success from the very beginning. And can you imagine digging a well? So we are early enough in Genesis, right? They're not using iron implements probably. They're using some pretty pathetic tools. In fact, I watched a movie which is, I don't know, had some bad language in it, but I was on the plane ride to Israel, and there was this movie called Pickled, and I watched it on the plane, and it's Seth Rogen, I think is his name, right? Comedian guy. But he plays this Jewish guy who falls into a vat of pickles, and he gets pickled for like hundreds of years or whatever it is, or over a couple hundred years or more. Or I think it's like 100 years. But he was a Jew who was trying to migrate to America, and it's a funny story because he plays Seth Rogen plays both parts. He plays the old Jew, and then he plays like his great grandson or whatever. And but at the beginning of the movie, there was actually something that stood out to me that was fascinating. It was showing his hard life being a poor Jew in Russia, right? I mean, this is like, you know, have you ever seen American Tail, Feifel Mouskowitz? I mean, this is like, you know, under the persecution of the Russians. It was rough times for the Jewish people there. But he's digging, and that's his job, is to dig. And he's digging with these shovels. And what was it? It was a stick with a flat piece of wood fastened to it. That was his shovel. And I never thought about it. Like, I don't know. When was the last time you ever thought about, I wonder what technology they had for shovels back then? And so I'm getting at something, and maybe I'm drawing out our point today, but imagine digging where you took a flat piece of plywood and nailed it to a stick. That's your shovel. And now I want you to go dig a well. You don't have a pickaxe, but you got a pointy stick that you can stab the ground with. Then you got this flat board you can scoop with. I don't know if you've ever seen a real well, but they're kind of deep. These aren't wells like today where you drill a little hole down, right? This is like people have to get down in this hole. So it has to be big enough that the diggers can keep being in the hole. They're physically in this hole, digging down, 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 down. Imagine digging a hole like that, how long it takes, only to have people come and complain, and you have to leave. And then it happens again. But Isaac kept digging. And Isaac finally got to Rehoboth, spaciousness. Finally, room enough for all of us. And so I just want to remind you that sometimes things don't work out the first time, and they don't work out the second time. But if you're faithful, one of the greatest qualities in a Christian, faithfulness, God will bless you. And I'm going to read on because I think we'll get just a little wrap up. Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tents there, and Isaac's servants dug a well. And so all this well digging, we back up to where we started about digging up the wells again of our fathers. Beersheba is where Abraham was. So Abraham would have already had a well there. And so you could take today and just think about anything, that we face and do. It can be hard, and quite often we can have some very discouraging failed attempts before seeing success. But on top of that, don't forget what the spiritual application was of verses 18 and 19. They were digging up the old wells, and they were looking for that living water. And sometimes we have some failed attempts. We try and get spiritually jump-started, and it just kind of seems to peter out. I get some zeal to get back in the swing of things, and it didn't work out again. But don't quit. Just keep going. I once heard a wise old man say, I think that wise old man might have been E.M. Bounds, but I'm not positive, that there's still hills and valleys, even after years of faithfulness and growing as Christians in maturity. And some people say, it's like, well, there's always going to be valleys. What's the point? And he says, well, it's because my valleys today are higher than my old hills used to be. And so expect that there will be hills and valleys, but if we're faithful and we stick it out, we're going to find that we're going to be experiencing more and greater and just bigger things than ever before. So stay faithful, Christian. Hang in there. And if you've experienced a failure, don't give up. Keep on digging. I've got to go to the store now and buy some 10-gauge Romex to repair my water heater line circuit. You guys take care.